Welcome to the lighter side of the spectrum, the podcast that celebrates the multiple hats we wear and the juggling acts we perform in life. Whether you're parenting kids and teens on the autism spectrum, navigating the ever-evolving healthcare industry, or building a more inclusive and impactful world, this is your space to find connection, inspiration, and growth. Together, we'll share stories, tackle challenges, and explore how innovation and inclusion create better outcomes for everyone. Because no matter the spectrum, there's always a lighter side. Now here's your host, David Kaufer.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to the lighter side of the spectrum. Today is a really special episode, and we're going to be talking about financial planning for families who are dealing with autism or special needs in general. And before you run away screaming, scared, we know how overwhelming it could be. Let me tell you, you want to stick around because I'm joined by my friend and fellow autism advocate, Lynda Kommel-Browne. Lynda is someone I've known for 3 years now, and she understands this journey, not just professionally, but personally. I connected through advocacy, through familiar place. A lot of parents find themselves, right, fighting school districts, pushing back against systems that frankly weren't built for our kids, learning far more about law than we ever expected to or wanted to in some cases. Her son Winston's now 18, and her family's journey spans early childhood, adolescence, and now the transition to adulthood. And what makes Lynda especially unique, in addition to being a mom of 5, including Winston, who is a non-speaking autistic, just like Stone, Lynda spent decades on Wall Street advising hedge funds and investment managers, and now she focuses her work on special needs, financial, and estate planning. So in this conversation, we're going to talk about her personal journey first, the advocacy. She's been a huge advocate as well. The hard moments, lessons learned, and then we'll shift into something that we all know we need to deal with. And that's talking about money, some planning, protecting our kids' futures without panic or paralysis. So with all that being said, Lynda, welcome to the show. I'm so glad we're able to finally get you on here.
Well, thank you so much, Dave. And thank you for all the amazing work you do for our community. And I've got all these wonderful connections all over the country, and I know how hard your journey and your fight for our community has been, and we really appreciate all of your commitment.
Well, it does. I appreciate that. Lynda, you've been an important advocate, friend, supporter. I'm so glad that, we connected when we did. Like I said, there's a lot we found that we have in common in terms of kind of like that relentless pursuit I think we both share for advocacy. I think, and we'll talk about this when I get into your journey, but again, we're a couple of the few parents who've actually legally taken on the system, which shows that it can be done, but we know it's tough. So, well, let's just go into that though. Tell our listeners and viewers a little bit about your journey and Winston and kind of what brought you to this place that we're at now.
Right. Well, when I say special needs and different kind of disabilities, I really, my husband David and I, also David.
Great guy, by the way. Yes, hi, David.
Yes. We have 5 children. We didn't start off thinking we were going to have 5 children, but our eldest 2 children are 27. Then we have a 25-year-old. One of our 27-year-olds is adopted. And so then we have a 25-year-old and we have a 19-year-old and we have a 18-year-old, a non-speaking autistic. So Winnie is the youngest. And we did not waste a second. I mean, we know what typical, milestones look like. And we did not bury our heads in the sand the minute we realized that Winnie wasn't developing in the way that a neurotypical was and meeting appropriate milestones. We really got busy. And thankfully, I do have a very good financial background. I have been on Wall Street since I was 22 and have a lot of financial designations and licenses. And there are a lot of lawyers around. There are a lot of mental health practitioners around. There are a lot of psychologists around, but there are not that many people around who can kind of pull it all together financially. And I feel very, very strongly that you start too early. Without the financial flex, cost of a disability is tremendous. And I mean, just separately, obviously, Dave, you and I know that people households have to do some financial planning, but often there are maybe lesser disabilities or life events where maybe one child isn't quite as financially, or your vision for that child looks down the road where they may not be financially independent. And you have to do a amount of planning for all the kids. Um, so I feel that, you really want to get onto this as soon as you can. And it's kind of a big picture, and it's so overwhelming for
It's so overwhelming. It really is.
not that overwhelming if you start and you build the right team, because it gives you such peace of mind. I mean, ultimately, you're planning for 2 or 3 lifetimes, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
while you're kids, what I find is that parents kind of age maybe 0 through 8 or 10 are kind of trying to run around and kind of fix the disability, do what they can with therapy.
Yeah.
By 10, you kind of realize, well, maybe this isn't going to go away, and I really need to take some extra care and do some planning. And so you can never start early enough, because when it comes to money, you always want to take advantage of the gains of compound investing,
Yeah.
building the right team. And when I say you're planning for planning for the time, like child's in school up to about some cases 22. And then you're planning for from 22 to the time where the parents pass. And we parents are doing a lot of things for our kids that if you were to hire someone from the outside would cost a lot of money. And then you really need to plan for your vision and a life for our children to live a dignified and engaged and healthy life when we're not around. And so build starting as early as possible, even if that means giving up a few runs to, the OT sessions or whatever, but you got to really sit down and understand what your finances are and how you're going to take care of your when you're no longer around, and the team that you
Yeah. Like I said, there's a lot to unpack there. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit more. Well, I want to get into the finances. I want the listeners to learn a little bit more about Winnie, because I think, he's a remarkable young man. And you guys are remarkable parents. You've done a lot. Again, you've taken on the school district, and I know there's, some that you can or want to talk about, some that you can't. But again, talk about a little bit about your journey there, and kind of, again, some of these amazing things that Winnie has done, because I think they need to be showcased.
Yeah, well, unbelievably, we were almost I feel a little bit late to get into spelling. I mean, I feel like we tried everything. Like Winnie was diagnosed with autism at age 15 months, and we did not waste a second. And we could see, because we have all these older children, we could see that he wasn't developing and reaching the appropriate milestones. And I mean, we did everything from oxygen therapy to acupuncture, gluten-free, casein-free, you name it. And nothing was really changing the course of his being able to move about and really be included in the real world. And he was so segregated in school. And embarrassingly, he was even sort of segregated in our own home. We had a nanny and we had these other 4 kids to raise. And, we say in our non-speaking world, behavior is not communication, because he could completely look like he's not interested and just like the moment of just being included, being right in the mix. He's listening to everything. He's taking everything in. And so there was nothing visual. It's embarrassing.
But you didn't know that at the time.
It's horrifying. It's horrifying. But when he started spelling, he learned so quickly. And we just never looked back. He was open-ended so quickly. We started right as COVID was breaking. And
Okay. I couldn't remember when he started. So he started when he was about 13 then, I guess, was that, or 12?
14, and he's 18.
14. Okay. Okay.
So, and fortunately for us, we actually started on Zoom because we couldn't travel, and we
Oh,
couldn't
wow.
all these other kids. And, my husband and I are both work full time. And so Zoom was the best way to learn, because it forced us to learn instead of just going out for lessons. Because as you know, Dave, our kids can spell. They know the meaning of everything. They write beautifully.
Yeah.
They need a little help in the beginning with getting the motor going. but no one really needs to teach them that. We are the ones who need the lessons. And I always tell parents now, don't think of it as your kid going to get the lessons. Do it with your kid. And you're a wonderful communication partner for Stone. And there's a lot of turnover with communication partners. And communication partners aren't always available. But, parents are generally pretty committed and generally pretty available. So he's been spelling, and as soon as we could see that, he was doing 4-digit multiplication by 4-digit multiplication, and his trajectory was going like this, we went to the school district and bring these letterboards in. And fortunately, the town next to us had about 6 or 7 letterboard users. And so
Wow.
it allowed the letterboards in. They haven't, however, really understood that this isn't a typing program. Now we train and ours are good to go. And that really hasn't been, it's taken a few years for them to understand. And I think finally now, with the right oversight, finally really come to understand that. Like, they certainly haven't presumed competence the way we would have liked, but 3 years into his program, it is finally, that there is more of a presumption of competence. Again, not as much as we would like, but
That's interesting that they're still not that as much as you would like.
but they're, it's better than they didn't. What they missed was really listening to, our coaching them on his disability. They didn't want to have anything to do with what we really said. And they said, we know his disability. We understand everything. Cost us years. But, we're happy that he got the boards in school. He's paved the way for, those who follow him. He very much wants to be an advocate. He wants to study linguistics in college. He seems to
That's great.
have some savant abilities for foreign language acquisition. He learned Spanish in just a couple of weeks. He's completely bilingual. He thinks in Spanish. And we had a Chinese nanny for the first 12 years of his life. She left right about as COVID was breaking. So he heard Chinese all the time. And now that we know his abilities with foreign language, we actually brought back our former nanny's daughter-in-law, and she's here on the weekends, and she's teaching him to type in Chinese. So
Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
unbelievable. He's only had like 3 or 4 sessions. I'm going to see if I can put up a picture of what
Oh yeah, I want to see this.
oh my, if I can see if I can. I don't know if you can see this, but
Let me see. It's kind of, yeah. You can see the characters.
yesterday, and he watched a movie in Chinese and he answered all the questions correctly. So we believe,
Wow.
significant. He certainly understands everything in Chinese. Now he's just learning to type in Chinese. So he'll probably go to college to study linguistics, and maybe, we'd like him to go to college with a purpose. And we'd like him to be at a college where the administrators are flexible and open-minded and welcoming. I would say that they've done an okay job, but has he been welcome? Sometimes we feel yes, sometimes not enough.
Now I know. Yeah, and you're familiar with some of the colleges. We've talked about that, right? In terms of some of the universities and colleges are becoming more open and welcoming to
Right.
our students.
One thing I've certainly learned is it's the attitude of the administration. They can sort of set the tone and they can do what they want. Harvard, Grace Valor helped Harvard write in a policy to allow communication partners in the I don't know if you know the Valors, but
No, I don't. But wait, I think I do.
4 children with autism.
Yes, yeah.
Daughter is graduating from college, and they have a son Winston's age who's going on to college, and then they have those are non-speakers, and then they have 2 additional kids who are also have autism. But Grace Fuller has done amazing things to pave the way, for kids going to college, and she took the ACT, and she helped Harvard write in on their website. They have, Harvard allows communication partners. So, a lot of
I didn't realize that. You had told me, and you sent me that about a year or so ago, I think. And I didn't realize that was how that came about, because that's so encouraging. Because as many people know, we talk with Stone's, Stone's goal, his vision is to go to Harvard.
Right, right. Well, as the woman who runs the accessibility offices, if you can get in, we'll make sure to get you through it. So
Wow, that's great.
our college search, we want to make sure that, we find an administration that's welcoming and flexible. And, our kids are, while they're sort of second generation spellers, they are first generation advocates.
Yeah, you're right.
And, we kept Winston.
Happy, there he is. Happy. He heard Harvard, so he's happy.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we've taken the lead from Winston, and it was very important that we tried to keep him in public school because we wanted to make the journey. Our kids are certainly not going to be the last, even though Winston
Oh, right.
in our school district, he's definitely not going to be the last. And we wanted to hopefully, pave the way and help kind of educate the system. And, there've been ups and downs, but it's going okay now. Finally we're turning the corner and he will be graduating in June. And there is a presumption of competence. Again, not as much as we see at home, but
You're getting there. I think that's so, I just want to touch on that, Lynda, because I think that's so important. It's so great that you've taken that approach in terms of public schools and continuing to fight. Because you're right. I mean, again, in our community, we see a lot of people who, they'll pull their kids, and if they're right. I mean, you got to do whatever's right for your kid. I mean, you see a lot of proponents for homeschooling, and sometimes that's the only option if you're the communication partner. I get all of that. But like you said, we know that there's just a large population of non-speakers, and that their only alternative is public schools. They don't have the flexibility or the resources available to do homeschooling. Like the parents have to work, or like there's a lot that goes into that, or private schools. So I think fighting for that access in public schools is so important.
so important. What we've done is when we realized that they couldn't really provide an appropriate education in the more difficult STEM classes like math and science, those we've taken online where and the credit is accepted. So we'll have 2 transcripts, one, kind of math and science from a program called Apex, which has been, I would recommend it to anyone. They've been really flexible with any accommodations that Winston's needed. And we've been able to find, appropriate communication partners that are well-versed in either math or science.
Oh, that's great.
Or foreign language. So, we've just taken Winston's lead, but I'm very glad that we stayed in public school because I do believe everyone has the right to be in public school and our
100%.
inclusive education. Winston really wants nothing more than to be around peers and is very, very social. And so, it's been a learning experience for everyone. It hasn't been perfect, but it is getting better. So
Yeah, that's great. It's funny you mentioned Apex. It's actually the curriculum that Stone School uses. He's in Brightmont Academy, which
they use Apex.
Yeah, they use Apex. Yeah, and like you said, it's a really. I've been really impressed with it. It's a really great platform.
It's a robust curriculum that's, core curriculum accepted by thousands of districts around the country. So, it's not like, it's not really modified in any way, or it's not dumbed down in any way, or you can just, but the system, the teachers there have been really supportive. And so, it'll probably take us a year or 2 to apply to college. We find the right fit and the right programming. And I think Winston's intention is to go to college and be able to do some original research with a professor, whether that's maybe in linguistics, how our non-speakers can acquire foreign language so easily, or he's become very interested in religion. And a lot of, as you know, Dave, a lot of our kids are very spiritual.
Very spiritual, yeah.
So we're lucky. We have some good, we probably would prefer that he stays close by because, we all have a lot of kids and we work, and he would not live independently. So we have some good schools in Connecticut that we'll look at. So,
That's great.
And
Great to have options, right? I mean, that's what we want.
well, you know, we hope, but it'll take us probably a year or two to explore what those options are. But, you know, there's still a lot of planning and a lot of financial planning for college and tuition. And, you know, I still feel that thinking about all the planning, joining the estate planning, the legal planning, the, you know, all of the modalities that we use to keep our kids regulated with the financial planning is critical. Like there's no, um, you know, I try to see the whole thing together, a view from 30,000 feet.
And I mean, that's got to be kind of hard to do sometimes, right? I mean, I know you're trained in some ways to do that, probably your financial, but
Way
you're in the weeds with the rest of us, Linda. I mean, like I said, you're still, mom of five and coordinating everything else. I mean, it's, what advice do you give to parents to try to help them kind of pull up to that level to try to look at the big picture? Do you have any
It's really
thoughts?
hard because I see a lot of very smart families. Um, yeah, I run in my professional life, most of my clients, I have a dual practice. Half of it is a woman's practice, but a lot of that is around divorce.
Mm.
And then the other part is around disability, financial advisory, and planning. And unfortunately, in the world of special needs, the divorce rate escalates as well. So I have a lot of clients who have complicated situations. And, you know, there's like I said, Dave, you and I know that we have to do some extensive planning, but, you know, parents find that their kids, you know, if you have one or two or three or four kids, often one kid maybe suffers from depression or suffers from, you know, maybe a higher level ADHD. And these disabilities, whatever they are, can have pretty significant impact on moving back and forth in the real world. And you just have to. I mean, Benjamin Franklin said, if you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. And so
Yeah.
have to, you know, if you can't do it all on your own, you've got to find a team of people to help. And, you know, in the same way, parents are pretty quick to find attorneys. You interview a few attorneys, interview a few financial advisors, financial planners. Um, one of the designations that people like me and a couple hundred people around the country hold is a ChSNC. It's a chartered special needs financial.
Oh, okay.
So you could look for, um, you know, people who hold this special designation and who are willing to sit down and spend a little bit more time with you. One of the unfortunate things with the attorney is like the attorneys don't understand the financial implications of the decisions they're asking their clients to make. And even if you do a lot of your estate planning and you just do it legally, a special needs trust is like a vase without water and flowers. How do you fund your ABLE account? All of these things, the documents, where public benefits meet what you might have with your private funds, all of it has to come together. And so I think, you know, you really just need to find a team of kind of financial advisors, lawyers, and therapists that all can work together. And then to look at your family members, whether it's a sibling or cousins, or, you know, you really want to look to the next generation to help build that team moving forward. And that's what we're trying to do now. We're hoping to build a family compound here. We love, 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 love the town that we live in. One of the great things with financial planning is that it's one of the few areas that doesn't work state by state. Your licenses are good for the whole country. So
Oh, interesting.
when you have to get an attorney, they're admitted to the bar only in maybe one or two states. And when you're dealing with the school district, like your school situation might look very different than Connecticut. That makes it a little bit easier because the financial planning is good, or at least the advice is good for the whole country. The special needs trust, the trusts still have to be set up by an attorney who's admitted to the bar in your state. But like right now, we're trying to spend a lot of time working with our older kids to see, you know, whether 1, 2, 3, or 4 of them, how they're going to participate and how we're going to incentivize them to participate in Winston's life. Because our vision for him is that he lives a really engaged and healthy and inclusive life and busy life. I think, Dave, left on their own, a lot of our kids don't initiate and they enjoy just videos. And that's certainly not the life that we envision for Winston. We want him, he also loved of acting, and we'd love him to, he starred in a movie and he was cast in the telepathy tapes. And we actually just found out this morning that he got a small role on a soap opera.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Very excited. So, we
That's
have
awesome.
got to find, we're working with our older kids now. One has already stepped up to say that she and her partner will take over guardianship and Winston can live with them. So we'll probably give them the house and make sure that his special needs trust covers the cost of the house, because you got to make sure that it's nice when an older kid steps up and says, sure, we'll take our sibling, but you got to make sure they have enough money and enough flexibility to manage. And then we're hoping that maybe another one will manage the special needs trust. Another one might manage, the caregivers and his healthcare needs. And another one might manage his activities and making sure that he's engaged. Because it's like, with you and Renee, I mean, it's like me and David spend hours each day, even though we have caregivers and different teachers for Winston, it's still a lot of time each day, so.
It's a lot of time. And that's great that the siblings are stepping up in that way. I want to break down, just again, to give people a couple of practical tools and tips for those who don't know. And because again, this is one of the things that you helped me with, Lynda. Again, like you said, it's something you want to start doing. You want to plan as early as possible. It's not always possible for people. Some people avoid it. Well, for a variety of reasons, right? Like sometimes you're just in survival mode, right? And it's just kind of hard, but there are steps that you can take. And there are a couple of things, again, that you helped me understand in terms, particularly like with some government benefits that people may not be aware or just say, well, it's not really worth it. It's not worth the red tape and the bureaucracy. I want to talk about that, and also ABLE accounts, because I found out that something like 1% of the, families eligible for ABLE accounts take advantage of them, which is shocking.
And that's actually true for other disabilities as well. One of our children has Crohn's, and so we set up an ABLE account for him. And
oh, interesting. Yeah.
That statistic, Dave, is part of why people aren't using ABLE accounts. And ABLE accounts are the single best investment vehicle possible. They're better than Roth IRAs. They're better than 529s. So, I mean, I think that's your first comment. Like, ideally, you are able to do this. So I think number one, you just have to find time. You cannot not make time for this. This is the most important thing that you can do, because if you don't start early or something happens to you, your child will really be left in an emergency crisis situation. So, I mean, one thing I've always said is anyone's welcome to call me. I will be happy to give anyone a complimentary consultation.
That's so nice. Yeah.
But you can't put it off. And if you don't have the financial flexibility, you're stuck with nothing. And so being able to do this through a combination of both public and private benefits. So, I mean, you can get your child into the Medicaid system really quite early on. And if you can't help, there are companies that will help you file the paperwork. There's national care advisors who work all over the country. There's a guy.
Yeah, again, but I think most people don't realize that, right? They think they have to do it all themselves. And I think you get kind of like, right, you get buried by this, oh, I have to do this and I have to do that. There are resources out there.
There's I think they're out of New Jersey, but they work all over the country. There's I remember a woman that I spoke to. I think her name was Barbara Bush. I just remembered, but it's not the former first lady. But she's out of Texas. There are plenty of companies that will help you file paperwork to see what kind of public benefits are available to you. And it's very important, very difficult for parents to understand. But when you are applying for public benefits, you have to describe your child's disability on their worst day, not on their best days. Really tough for parents to understand because our kids are up and down, the depression lasts for days. You can have a good year, you can have other health, our kids are all medically pretty fragile, and it's really tough for parents to describe that. It's heart-wrenching. But
And,
that's what.
and I think we're used to celebrating the wins too, right? Like I think, at least, and maybe again, speaking for myself, right? We're so used to like showcasing the positives.
Right, right. And talking about those. And it's really important to, as parents to have that bright light. But when you are trying to get government benefits, you also have to be realistic that, the purpose of the protection of government benefits is for our most vulnerable population. And the truth is that our kids are about the most vulnerable that you could possibly. I mean, as bright as Winston is, and with all the sacred gifts that he has, he will need a lifetime of 24/7 care. He will need a lifetime of someone right
Mm.
next to him, especially, almost two people with him. He would walk right in front of a speeding car. It's not that he doesn't understand that it's dangerous to walk in front of a speeding car. If you asked him on his letterboard, what would happen? He would say, I would be flattened. I know it's dangerous. Of course, I shouldn't do that. But with apraxia and that brain body disconnect, he would walk right in front of a speeding car. And so, safety is really important. And how do you get that safety except by getting a caregiver? And, he is on extremely healthy diet. He's the only person I know that eats 10 servings of like fruits and vegetables a day. But again, if we didn't provide that, he would probably just through the shelves and start looking for crackers. And it's not that he doesn't know he shouldn't be eating crackers. He knows it's not healthy and he really likes taking care of himself. But our kids need a tremendous amount of support. And so, first of all, starting early and you can't just turn around to, different states have entitlements and benefits. Medicaid is an entitlement, and then usually states have some benefits program. And you really have to find a caseworker and really work to try to start early and, help our children get some form of the combination of both federal and state benefits. And it's hard if you're just turned 22 and then you go and say, okay, well, I didn't really need them. I never should need for them before this, but I need them now.
Mm-hmm.
Better. And again, it's overwhelming. And if you can't do it yourself, there are companies out there. Again, people are welcome to contact me and I can give you a list of resources. But I think that's really important. Parents leave. I see parents leaving tens of thousands of dollars on the table, even when their kids are teenagers, of respite care. And respite care is critical. I mean, we just can't do it all ourselves.
I think that was one of the key points. Again, you helped me understand. It's just, we're leaving money on the table. And again, it's money that our kids are entitled to. We're entitled to. And again, it's not like, you're not taking from someone else to get what's yours. Or, I mean, this is all to help. I mean, it doesn't matter your situation. It's to help.
That's right. Our kids are really, truly vulnerable. And it's also not great for the kids to spend all day with the parents. Again, we're not going to be there around forever and to start learning to work, with a caregiver as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's something that, we're going to have to make that transition here as well. Again, that's kind of like one of my early parent confessions.
Right.
That Stone and I are pretty much, one-on-one 24/7 for the most part because of his situation with school and therapies and things like that. And like I said, we've qualified for some respite services, but not a lot. Like, so it's one of those things, like I look at it, Linda's like, again, the kind of the cost benefit analysis of researching. I've got this whole list. They sent me a list of qualified respite camps and this and that we could. But then it's like, oh, do I take the time to go through all that, apply, find out what we can get, or just like, I've got other things to do. But I know that,
But the
I
thing
know
is,
that it should be good. Like it would be good. I know that I should be doing it.
and you want to show the need before you turn 22, and our kids certainly have the need.
Right.
And again, it's just not possible to do this all. I mean, maybe if you have $50 million, but it's just not possible to do it all privately.
No.
Really important to understand the combination of some public benefits and some private benefits and making them work together. And again, even for families who might not be, whose children may not have the level of disability that Stone and Winston have and may not be, qualify for government benefits, there is still a lot of planning you can do. They certainly might qualify to open an ABLE account, and certainly may qualify to open a special needs trust. So
again, for people who don't know, can you explain what is an ABLE account?
So, I mean, ABLE accounts and special needs trusts are very important parts of financial planning for families like ours, but also for families whose kids have lesser disabilities. The only difference is their kids may not be receiving some government benefits in the future as they get older. But that doesn't mean that an ABLE account and a special needs trust wouldn't significantly help someone who has any kind of mental health challenges or physical challenges or other neurological conditions. So an ABLE account was sort of originally set up, they were set up in 2014 to kind of mirror a 529 and to recognize that the cost of having a disability is very high. So you can open them, they're available in most states, and like you can often get a small tax deduction like you can with a 529. We've been using ABLE now, which is out of Virginia. They're very, very flexible. The only drawback is you can only contribute $20,000 a year, the gift tax amount, the same as you can gift someone. But a 529, which is for just college in general, you can have your aunt, your cousin, one mom, one dad,
So there's a hard cap no matter who's contributing to it.
One ABLE account, and you can only contribute the gift tax amount each year. The gift amount each year, which is this year, 2026, is $20,000. So that's a little unfortunate. And the very important thing to understand is if you are trying to get government benefits, the amounts cannot run over $100,000. But I say, you certainly know when your kid is 5 if they have autism.
Yeah.
Put 20,000 in or put 40,000 in, because the child is young and you have time on your side and the parents are largely going to be, supporting the child for a while. Let the stock market do the work. Invest aggressively. NASDAQ's been returning about 10% plus over the last 10 years. Your money doubles in 7 years. So put in 20,000, put in 40,000, and
or if you can't do, again, put in 5,000, right? Whatever you can.
Whatever you can, and let the stock market do the work. That 5,000, if it's invested aggressively, can become 10,000, and then in the next 7 years, that 10,000 is 20,000, and the next 7 years, that 20,000 could be 40,000, and you've got a little nest egg to. And the ABLE account rules on what you can spend the money on is basically anything related to a disability expense. And that is extremely broad.
Yeah.
It could be used for education. It could be used for tutoring. It could be used for your copays. It could be used for your nutritional supplements, equine therapy, OT, PT. And so again, and you can let the ABLE account run over $100,000. It's just not let it run over $100,000 if you're trying to receive government benefits.
So, okay, so that's an important distinction, right? For those, again, if you're getting, if you want to continue to get the monthly SSI or SSDI, right, benefits.
Oh, above 100,000. But again, if you are suffering from, any kind of illness, any kind of mental health challenges, I mean, going to see a psychiatrist could cost you $500 a visit. So, there's nothing to say that you know, you can't let the money run over 100 grand and just keep it and let it compound in the stock market and use it when you need it. But the ABLE account, the earlier you start, the better. Absolutely. And then that is, a lot of people think, oh, this is the ABLE account and the special needs trust, like, oh, the same thing. No, they're really, 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 really different. A special needs trust, you have to, first of all, an ABLE account takes all of literally 5 minutes.
Yeah, you can do it all online. It's super. I
Uh,
mean, again, speaking from experience, it's really easy. That
mean,
part, that's the easiest part of like this whole journey in terms of like financial planning that you'll ever do.
really easy. And it comes with a debit card if you use ABLE Now, which is, I think, the first one. There's so much written online. We had been using Fidelity, but they don't have a debit card, which makes it a little bit harder to use every time you want.
That's a good point. Yeah.
But you could certainly use it for education. And a really wide range of uses. And again, it can be used for, I've got one set up for a child with Crohn's. So to help manage some of the cost of medications and having Crohn's. So you can use
Yeah.
it wide range of uses. And the special needs trust is a lot more complicated. It requires, I guess you could do it on LegalZoom, but it does require a trustee and a financial advisor. And the reason it's important to start young there as well. So the special needs trust also goes by the name of supplemental needs trust. And the purpose of that is anything but what government benefits. Benefits are largely there to provide you with food and living arrangements. So
Yeah.
really,
Supposedly the basic necessities.
so you really want to use the supplemental needs trust for everything else. And you do need a trustee, you do need a financial advisor. So it's a lot to think about, but it's important to start early because most families fund the special needs trust through life insurance, and the do it is through second life insurance. And obviously the age when you're paying premiums for life insurance matters. If you're a 40-year-old parent, your premiums for that policy to fund the special needs trust are going to look a lot different. All of a sudden you decide to do it when you're 60.
Right.
And it
Right.
becomes, and at some point, if you as a parent have any health issues, you might even become uninsurable. One of the important changes with the ABLE account that just this year is that one of the rules with an ABLE account, it used to be you had to acquire that disability before age 26. Now it's age 46. So if you're in a car accident or you've developed cancer, or you can, as long as it's happened before age 46, you can open up an ABLE account. But I mean, all of this, the younger and the earlier you start, you're really in much better shape because most parents do choose to fund the special needs trust through life insurance. And again, cost of premiums is everything.
So the takeaways here, and again, just so for people to understand the trust, I'll try to break it down as I interpret it. You're the professional, but okay, what help me understand is you need the trust because anybody that goes directly to individual counts as income. I mean, it counts as,
Well,
they're as assets, right? But kind of like their assets, and that changes their, like they wouldn't qualify for government account or government assistance. There's a lot of penalties that would go along with that.
well, it's, I mean, to be perfectly clear, if you are receiving government benefits, you can't have more than $2,000.
Right, right, yeah.
So you cannot, like, having a special needs trust or an ABLE account, if you our kids can work, not maybe in the way that a
Yeah, maybe not Wall Street, but yeah.
right. But they can certainly do, maybe they'll be paid for research work that they're doing.
Yeah. There's a lot of options. Yeah.
Maybe Winston will be get an acting job, whatever. But they can be paid, into their ABLE account, or they can be paid into their special needs
Oh, right.
and not be paid directly because they will become ineligible for government benefits. So it's real. That's why I think it's really important. Even if you don't fund the trust now, again, a lawyer can set up the trust.
Right.
You don't even have to open it with the financial advisor. You can, but you don't have to fund it right away. You can fund it when there's a need to fund it, either when you die and the life insurance kicks in, or, if you also might have like a relative. One of the other things that's really important if you want to maintain your government benefits is, as a parent, take out all of like even your checking account when we write our wills. And another part of special needs, find there's a really big gap is parents haven't even done their own planning. And one of the critical things for parents to do is to take all when you have your will, everything that's directed to your will goes to the special needs trust. It cannot go directly to,
Mhm.
and that's true for maybe an aunt or uncle might be willing money to your special needs child. And you got to tell everyone, don't will it to the special need, will it to the trust. So
Yeah.
really, really important to watch who are the beneficiaries of all of your own estate planning. So that's another good reason to set up a special needs trust really early on.
Yeah. I mean, this is all so great and so valuable. I want to try to squeeze in a couple of our segments that we'd like to try to do. We're going to start with autism, fact or fiction. We're going to do some myth busting here. And see, if you have something great, but I actually have a couple of things I think you'll like.
Get QuickTime ready, and here we go. This is Autism Fact or Fiction. We're breaking down what's real, what's rumor, and what might surprise you. Let's go.
All right, so it's time for autism, fact or fiction. Like I said, when we like to try to do some myth busting or talk about maybe stereotypes that people have, that we either want to say, yeah, that's true, or it's false. So I don't know, Lynda, do you have any autism, fact or fiction? Like I said, I have a couple of things I could share here, if not.
I guess it's just our own journey with fact or fiction, where it's just horrifying that we didn't presume competence, and we just presume competence every second of the day and just keep spreading the message.
Yeah,
It's the movement.
yeah, I think that's great. That's a great myth, right? That non-speaking doesn't mean non-thinking. What I have, and this is relevant again to our conversation, Lynda, is that a fact or fiction, ABLE accounts are only for wealthy families.
Oh my God, no, they're for everyone. Like you said, Dave, even if you have $1,000, put it in. It is the single best investment vehicle because you get a tax deduction putting the money in. The money grows not just tax for like an IRA, it grows tax free. So it's compounding tax free. And when you take it out, as long as you use it for a disability expense, you don't pay any taxes on it. So it's the single best investment vehicle available.
That's great. I mean, if there's a single takeaway, I know there's a lot that, goes into true planning, but if there's one takeaway I really want our listeners to come away from, I think that's one, because I think it's such a, like I said, unknown vehicle and such a valuable vehicle. Okay, we got one more segment I want to squeeze in here. This is Parent Confessions, and we'll play the jingle for that and share our confessions.
Morning routines can go astray. Found socks in the fridge one day. Laughter's the best remedy. Hey, we're just finding our own way. Mom, Dad, confessions every week. Sharing joys and moments we seek. Honest tales that make us unique. Join the club.
All right. This is, again, a chance for us to humanize our experience, which we've been doing already, Lynda, talking about, again, presuming competence and the journey and segregation and all that. But I like to share some, real stories with people. Just say it again. We're doing a lot. I'm proud of the work I've done. I'm proud of the work you do. But we make mistakes along the way, and let people know, hey, we're not perfect, and we all, people give themselves some grace. So I'll start first because again, it's relevant to our conversation. I hinted at this earlier. But my confession is I wasn't on top of our special needs planning as much as I knew I needed to be or wanted to be until I talked to you. And again, it was just our conversation, and you gave me the gentle but needed kick in the butt to say, look, time's away. There is time's a wasting. Like there is no time. Like you can't put this off any longer. And here's why. And you explained it in really easy to understand language. With real consequences, and that was really kind of the wake up call. And again, I didn't do it all right away. I made a list of all the things that just start with a trust, start with you just have to knock them off one by one. It's not easy, as we know, but it is doable as long as you devote the time, a little bit of time a day. So thank you, Lynda, for that.
I think, one of the things we struggle with is, again, your child turns 18 and whether you're going to take guardianship or supported decision making. And I listened to a lot of webinars. I thought a lot about it. And I heard someone describe like guardianship is like you have less rights than a felon. I was horrified to hear that. And I was like, okay, we've got to do supported decision making. And then I explored that. Our probate judge here, wonderful. And she was really, and our caseworker here was really wonderful. Because, as we know, Dave, our kids, there's sort of two Stones and there's two Winstons. There's Winston with his incredible intelligence, with a great communication partner and everything that he wants to do to be included. But there's also Winston without a caregiver and without a communication partner. And to be realistic about that. And I looked a lot at supported decision making. That's the way that I wanted to go, but we took guardianship.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
From our probate judge. What we're trying to do now, and it makes badly that we had to go that, but I don't want anything to happen in the healthcare system. But what we're trying to do is, again, we've got a team of 5 kids here, and we were hoping that 1 or 2 will take guardianship. 1 has already said she will, and we're hoping 1 more will participate. But at least to treat Winston's decisions like it was supported decision making. We have the guardianship and we have to make decisions.
Yeah.
Trying to, certainly make those decisions with full of Winston's input.
Yeah, no, that's great. So Lynda, as predicted, we went over our time that I anticipated, but that's fine. Like, so much good stuff. I want to know, how can people reach you? How can people, where can people find you if they have questions, or again, to inquire about, your services or whatever, just to reach out and chat with you?
Well, my phone is almost always in my hand or right next. So never sure what our day is going to look like with our kids. But I work for Round Rock Advisors, which has, we have a lot of specialties in financial planning. I have extra specialties in, besides just working in stock markets and managing money, but all specialties in disability planning, divorce. So, anyone's welcome to call me or email. So I'm happy to give anyone a complimentary consultation. My phone number is 9737469. And my email, I don't know, Dave, I can send you a signature line from my work email.
Whatever you want, whatever you want people, how you want people to reach out to you.
The easiest way is just to call me so I can tell you what my email is, or I don't know how I would do you want me to put my email in the chat? Is there a chat here?
Yeah, or we'll put your phone number and your email address in the show notes for people to reach out to you.
On my home computer now for this Zoom, but they can contact me on my work email.
Of course.
I don't really necessarily work from like 9 to 5. People are welcome to call me at night or on.
Right.
This is not it's not a 9 to 5 job. It's like I do turn my phone off at night, but I'm around to talk to folks and help people. And it's part of like, it's also just trying to help educate the community. And I find many very bright families who are still deep to their kids, very far behind. And like the time is now. I mean, the
time is now.
Time was yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's the takeaway. So again, remember everyone, you don't need to do everything at once. Presume competence in your child and yourself. You can do this. As Lynda said, build a team, ask questions, just take it one step at a time.
Sounds good. Well, thank you. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Lynda. And again, thank you to the listeners and viewers out there. As always, please, if you have any feedback, send me an email at david.kaufer@hey.com. Leave us a review, and we will catch you next time on the lighter side of the spectrum.